Hey everyone, today I'm going to be testing the flow on this supercharger coolant system on this 2018 Camaro ZL1. I have this added external reservoir. I'll go ahead and empty it down there in the wheel well, dump it into a pan. Should be pretty easy. Once I get the flow meter installed, I'll get it filled back up, and then probably the easiest way to run the pump is pulling the relay in this fuse box. I'll jump it. I have a 15 amp little jumper I made. It's going to be this bottom relay right there. Looking at it like this, it's going to be the top right and the bottom left terminal. I'll connect those to run the pump, and we can check the flow meters. I got the flow meter from a buddy, Gabe Griffin. He owns Griffin Motorsports. He's done a lot of extensive testing on the supercharger coolant system on these cars. He's changed up his whole system, added a couple tanks, bigger lines, manifold adapters, and so I'm going to post the link to his website down below. But for now, we'll go ahead and get going on this thing. So this is the factory heat exchanger. Pretty thin, but this is facing from the front of the car towards the back. This is the little plug right here. So if you want to empty the charger coolant system, all you got to do is pop this plug and it'll drain the whole system. But like I said, this heat exchanger, which is quite a bit thicker, say double the thickness of the stock, there is no plug right here, no plug right there, just the hose right here. So I mean, technically I could just pop this hose, put a drip pan here, and catch all this. So I wanted to charge my battery because this thing's been sitting for a while. I want to charge it up so I can run the intercooler pump. You can charge it on the front. You'll hook the positive up to here, you'll hook the ground up to here, and you need the battery connected. And this will charge the system from the front if you don't want to have to access the battery in the back. To charge the battery directly, and I also already have the negative or ground cable off. So, best way for me to do it without having to take this whole thing apart is there's a plastic push pin right there. You just pop it out with a tool. Then there's one underneath right there. I'll pop that one out. That will give you enough wiggle room to kind of pry this out from underneath this rubber. You can pop it a little bit from there, and then you can pull it back and access the entire battery. You can just slide this off. That will allow you to hook on the positive. If we're going to do it this way, I leave the ground cable disconnected and I'm just charging the battery directly. Do the ground first, then I'll put on positive. Then what I like to do is kind of slide this thing back on just to protect it. I'll go ahead and leave it like that. As you can see, this thing's dead. So I'll let that charge, and I'll get a good charge on it. That way, once I get the flow meter attached to the intercooler system, our heat exchanger coolant system, I'll have power to run that pump. This thing's been sitting for maybe 5 minutes. I guess the battery wasn't as dead as I thought. It's been sitting for a few months and just still holding pretty much a full charge, so that's good to know. Here's the flow meter I got from Gabe. I'm going to be plumbing this in on the line going from the supercharger to the reservoir. I want to get a baseline number before I make any changes. because I'm going to be getting rid of this coolant crossover tube with some manifolds that'll run lines dedicated to each side of the supercharger. Each intercooler brick will get its own fluid. I'll go ahead and plumb it in. Like I said, right here I got some line from the local auto parts store. Just cut a little piece and get it plumbed in right there. And then next, once we get that in, get some fluid in there, we'll go ahead and jump this relay. It's going to be the top left terminal and the bottom right, looking at it from there. And then we'll go ahead and run it and get some numbers. What I'm going to do. Let's try to dump this thing out. Okay, so I'm going to crack this bleeder because this is the one that goes down to the tank. So I pulled this bleeder out and it's completely empty, so that side should be good. There's probably going to be fluids trapped in this line, but not much I can do about it. We'll just pinch it off when we take the supercharger and try to catch whatever comes out of there. To finish emptying this out for now, I'm going to do it down here in the wheel well. It's going to be lower in the system, so it'll get more of the fluid out. Back in place. Alright, so you can see this thing's completely drained. Next I'll get that flow meter installed in line with this, and then we'll go ahead and put some more coolant back in, and then I'll go ahead and run the pump and we'll get some numbers for that. This does have an upgraded intercooler pump. It is a Pierburg 100, I believe it's the -3. Pierburg CWA 100-3. I think it's supposed to flow something like 10 gallons per minute. It's hard to see right now. We'll get a good look at it later, but it's right down there. So what I'm going to do is I'll measure this barb right at 1 inch. I'll measure this barb roughly. Same thing, right at about 1 inch. So I'll make it like 2 1/4 just to give it a little bit of wiggle room. got two different cutters here. We'll see what works. These are cable cutters. I bought these to try to cut fuel line, but it didn't work very well. I think this hose might be too big anyways to... Oh. Let's see which ones are gonna work. Okay, so even though this says going in and this is coming out, this is actually reversed. This is coming out and this is going in, because this is coming out shooting to the top here. This is getting fed from the heat exchanger on that side. The line comes from the main heat exchanger to the auxiliary heat exchanger. Line comes up right here and runs to the pump, and on the pump it shows you flow is coming into this hose, because this bottom hose comes off, it goes down and lands right on top of the pipe, the intercooler pump. And then so that's being fed from the top, and then it shoots it out this way, comes through, comes across, goes up, it's coming out. So I'll run this flow meter. You can see it's got the arrow showing the flow, which should be going this way. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and attach this, take this hose off, attach this to here. I'll turn this 90, pull this hose back, attach it right to there, a couple hose clamps, and should be in business. Anything in it after bleeding it earlier. So it looks like this is meant for 3/4 inch hose. I'm hoping probably get this on. So now this is all set up. Hopefully this all seals off, but if not, I'll tighten them down a little bit. And there it goes. Okay, let's go ahead and top her off with some more fluid. Now this already has a little vent breather on the back side of this, so there's no reason to keep this cap off. If you do keep it off, most likely it's going to shoot all over the place, because I've already gone through that before. It's going to be right there. We'll start it at 0.15. Run it for 60 seconds. We're at 0.15. 0.33. If there's any leaks, we're pretty close actually back to the level we were at, but 0.18 gallons per minute is what it was looking like. So that is how you can determine the flow of your supercharger coolant system. 0.18 gallons per minute is nowhere near where this pump is supposed to be flowing. From what I've read, it's anywhere from 8 to 10 gallons per minute. So there's something going on in the system, whether it's the pump's crapped out or if it's not getting enough voltage. So I'll have to do some troubleshooting on this before I really take anything else apart. That way, when I put it all back together, I'm not dealing with this issue. Now, I don't know if it's because these lines are switched. If that's going to make much of a difference, I don't think it is. So I'll probably start with switching these lines, then I'll disconnect the pump down below, test the voltage going to the pump, and then after that I'll have to test the pump itself. But that's it for today. We got this thing all plumbed in line, at least got it tested, so now I know something's going on with the system, and we'll go from there. I appreciate you guys watching, and like I said, next video I guess we'll go into some diagnostics to try to troubleshoot this system and see what's going on. Thanks.